Hello and welcome to this episode of FinTech Focus TV, brought to you by Harrington Starr, global leaders in financial technology recruitment. Head over to the Harrington Starr website today, where you'll be able to download our brand new documentary, The Era of Convergence, which charts the merger of traditional and decentralized finance. You'll also be able to see our new magazine, The Financial Technologist, with the top 1% Workplace Awards. Enjoy the show and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today I'm absolutely delighted and very excited to introduce you to Mikael from AstroPay. Mikael's over in Uruguay at the moment. We've just been having a long conversation about all things AstroPay, a little bit of football that's been involved in there as well. But we've got lots and lots to talk to you about a genuinely fascinating company doing some extraordinary things at the moment. And I'm pretty much in awe. This is sort of a fanboy moment for me to be talking to a business like yours right now, because there's a great story behind it. I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more as well. But Mikael, before we go into it all, tell us a little bit about yourself and AstroPay, if you would.
First of all, thank you for the invitation and for being here. It's a pleasure. My name is Mikael Lijtenstein. I'm 30 years old. I have background in computer engineering. Started working in AstroPay almost 8 years ago as a software developer. Had the chance some years ago to become the chief operations officer and then the CEO of the company till today. So I lived the journey of the growth of the company. The company started in 2009. I joined in 2015. So it was a big journey to become the fintech that we are today. As I said, AstroPay started in 2009 in Brazil as the first market, offering a prepaid voucher to help users to pay online in international sites through their most popular payment methods, local payment methods for sure. And we keep growing from that moment till today. In the middle of the pandemic in 2020, we developed the digital wallet. We upgraded our product, we improved it. We continue with the idea of allowing users to pay online directly in the merchant sites. What we do is we offer a big global community of millions of users all over the world, where we look to solve their financial needs through our digital wallet, where they can deposit and withdraw money simply. And another features that we have in the wallet, where they can buy and sell crypto, they can send money to other contacts that they have, create payment links to collect money, and also something that we launched some months ago. It's our Visa or MasterCard debit card, where the users can shop online wherever these brands are accepted.
So much to pick out from what you just said, hasn't it? And I'm going to start with your journey specifically, because I've recorded a video earlier on today with someone who came from a sort of management consultancy background to found a business. And I was talking about the various different, I'm always very interested in the routes that various founders have taken to, and C-level people have taken to get to that sort of stage. And we've done various events back here in London, talking to people about how they've risen from software developer through into senior positions. But there's not too many that sort of join a business as a software developer, software engineer, and move themselves through to COO and then to CEO in such a short space of time. So tell me a little bit, if there are aspiring software engineers who are watching your story at the moment and sat there and thinking that's the stuff of dreams, and you've given away your age at the start of it there as well. It's a pretty meteoric rise, isn't it? Talk to me about how that's happened.
Thank you. Having the technological background, it's key here in fintechs, because I had the opportunity to create and to develop the systems of the company. So I learned a lot. I learned how the system behaves, and that gave me a lot of knowledge about the product, about the operations, about everything that we have done in the last years. So also having the opportunity to work in different teams, in the IT team, in the operations team, working with commercial, and having the always in mind the idea of solving problems it's very important because it's I believe what kept me here, and always having the attitude and the mind to move forward, to go forward, and try to find always a solution to be better, to have something better to provide to the company, and to help, of course, colleagues, and help the company to grow every moment. So that's very, very important.
I think it's a really interesting take. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking about all of the other people I've spoken to. And I think sometimes when you've got that classic software developer, they'll be looking at the problems, but they'll also be sort of looking at it from a very much technological standpoint as opposed to a user standpoint. And one of the things we were talking about before we came on air was discussing the whole concept of being very, very much a user experience business. And when you talk about solutions from your perspective, I think sometimes that people can get bogged down in the technology behind the solution, as opposed to the actual problem for the for the user themselves. And when you're looking at a space like digital wallets and payments as a whole world, and you're throwing in crypto that gets put into the mix as well, you're talking about something which I think is a really, really interesting phenomenon, because there are so many ways to improve the customer experience from the traditional banking models that we've seen over years. And there's people that get that absolutely right and fly, as you guys seem to be certainly testament to. And there's certain ones who get it very, very wrong and come at it with the technology in mind first. So when you're talking about solving problems, I presume what you're talking about is saying, let's have a look at the issues in the marketplace as opposed to the technological issues, and then marrying the two together. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, completely agree with what you were saying. Something that we like to do, and it's key in our company. It's understanding the users, to hear them. Being a user-centric company, it's what brought us here, and something that we learned and we did in many of the markets that we explored and that we are processing. It's being in the ground and being there, and understanding what a Brazilian guy is expecting from a digital wallet, and what a Peruvian guy is expecting, and of course it's very different what someone from LATAM it's expecting from the one from Asia. And then the technology, it's the tool to build what they are expecting, and as you said also, we need to iterate, to test, and to fail fast. Because for sure from the first moment you are not going to get what they're expecting, or for sure you need to improve it. So basically the technology helps the company to iterate fast and to fail fast, and to see what the user is really expecting, and how we can satisfy their needs, and to give them of course the best user experience that we can, because at the end we are a B2C company, and we have to satisfy our customers.
There's a really interesting thing you pointed out there, saying, and this leads on to another area which I really want to explore, which is an emerging markets business that's done the reverse journey and sort of conquered more established markets there afterwards. You're saying, you as you absolutely rightly say, there's very much different expectations from different people in different countries, let alone different regions of the world. How much of and with yourself, and I looked at done a bit of research in the company, I know there's a lot of remote work that happens in the business as well. And whilst there's a team there, how big's the team now?
We have more than 250 people all over the world.
250 people, literally all over the world as well. Tell me how that sort of operates as a whole, and some of the challenges which you've overcome. I think people still struggle a little bit with the fully remote business and how that works, and then they struggle even further with having different time zones, different cultures, different sort of pressures and employability factors and all this sort of stuff. You must have learned an awful lot over that period. How are you getting that so right?
Of course, we learned a lot in the last years. We became a full remote company after the pandemic started, and that was something that helped us to hire people all over the world, great talents, and having and being closer to the users. We always were closer to the users, but in a different way. Having people all over the world, having people in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, of course in Latam where we grew, at the beginning. Here the big challenge is the communication, of course, between the company, having different time zones and different cultures. But
different languages as well, right?
Of course, we have the English as the main language, of course. But we encourage everyone in the company to have the same culture, to move fast, to iterate, to fail fast, to be very humble, to give effort to what we do, and to trust in the product. That is something that we are putting a lot of effort and encouraging everyone in the company to trust in the product, to test it, and to help the company grow faster and faster, and being very empathetic with the users. That is something very, very important, because we need to put in the shoes of the user to understand what they are expecting, and how are their flows in the app, because it's when you develop something, you are developing from the software developer side, but then you need to be on the user side to understand if everything is working good, and that it's something that we encourage a lot, not only to the developers, to the product team, to the finance team, to the marketing team, because as I said before, the communication is key between the company and to the users.
And so how best do you interact? Because yeah, there's I think almost every company will say they're a user-centric business, and the customer is important, and all these different sorts of things. But I think there's a genuine empathy that you're talking about within that. Yeah, to put the customer at the center of the product. Now, with a product that's obviously got to change per region and such like, it's very interesting to see how people actually do that, because there's a very strong, like the classic Henry Ford case, isn't there? If I listened to what people wanted, they'd all be making faster horses. I think in this same instance, as very strong technologists who are probably ahead of the game in terms of the user, in terms of what that they can do and what they want. How do you get that empathy with the user base? How are you invested into that user, and how do you find that feedback?
Something important. It's, for example, when you travel, and I try to do it every time I travel to a different country. It's to load the wallet as I'm being a Brazilian. So if I need to go to pay in a store, I simulate the same flow, and that is what we encourage everyone in the company to put it in the user shoes, and to simulate what they are living. Also, we have, and we receive a lot of feedback from users. We have many channels to receive feedback. We do surveys, we do focus group. We have many users that they are sending ideas and sending queries and sending complaints, that at the end complaints are a way of improving.
Absolutely.
And we are very cautious and conscious about what they are saying. So we have a big team, a big product team, and also a marketing team that it's hearing and reading what the users are expecting, and that it's very important.
That customer listening, I think, is absolutely key, isn't it? And I think you're absolutely right when you talk about that, sort of being able to listen to the complaints and see them as opportunities. I think people get very either A, protective, or B, don't have the channels. And there's nothing worse than someone who doesn't complain but is unhappy, because that's where you can't pick up that sort of feedback to improve and pick things up. I'm still sort of getting over your your personal journey here, and seeing that that sort of rounded background, as you say, from software to operations to being the CEO of a business. I think it's really fascinating, and I think there's a lot that people will be able to take from you in that sort of journey. If you were to look back at the sort of time that you've spent in the company, I know there was a brief sabbatical outside of the business as well, wasn't there? But if you were to look at that sort of thing, and it's a fairly meteoric career rise for you personally, what would be some of the things that you'd be able to advise people on that journey? And what are some of the things that you've learned in a very, very different role as CEO of a tech business, through to being coming into it originally as an engineer in what was probably a relatively established business already?
Trust your instincts, trust your ideas, be humble always, and it's very important to be open to feedback, because we always have something to improve. and having in mind that the objective is to help the company grow. So having in mind the solving problem knowledge and ideas with the objective of helping the company, it's very important. So as I said, trust your ideas, trust your instinct, and being humble.
And those are some of the things which you think allowed people to trust you to go through that sort of journey. Just seeing that sort of, I mean, it's very, very interesting, isn't it? Because I think there's a lot of people who just go to work, who come in there and do their job and then go home. But I think what you've said and touched on there is very telling, that you're someone there who said, you know, I remember that we're here to help the company grow. And you've talked about that growth. You talked about, you know, bringing people in that's allowed you to scale and allowed you to grow to different levels. What is that always been something which you've been really passionate about seeing and making happen?
Yeah, and it's also important to think outside the box and to always to challenge the things that you are doing personally and the team is doing and your colleagues. So that's also the way of improving. Try to think not only on your tasks and your role. Try to think in a high level, in a company high level. So that's when you start to think in the overall business, not only, for example, when you start as a software developer, not only in the code. So it's important to understand the commercial part, the operational part, the finance part. Of course, we have a role always, but to be open-minded to understand everything and to think in the big picture.
You mentioned as well that talking about the big picture, this sort of ability to, you know, to grow internationally, how the pandemic created the opportunity for you to, you know, access talent on a worldwide basis. And I think there's a lot of companies that sort of tried that, and you know, Twitter's a classic example, albeit with you know, a change of ownership, but being a very different, saying, right, we're a remote business now, you don't have to come back to the office, etc., through to now everyone's back in the office, we're building beds in there, etc., and everyone has to be together. It's like it's one extreme or the other. I'm interested to see how you adapted to that. And it was also very interesting how you talked about really emphasizing the values of who you are as an organization and the power of the product itself, and trusting that product, which has allowed you to then put, I imagine, trust and faith in the 250 plus people worldwide that you've been able to attract to the business. Talk me through the whole decision making. Was it something that was very natural? Was it something more opportunistic? Was it on the roadmap before the pandemic, or how did it all come about for you?
To be honest, it was a mix. It was opportunistic at the moment, and also something that we believe that that for the future would be a good opportunity. So it's a great challenge, a big challenge to have a worldwide company with people from all over the world, with different cultures, different languages, different way of working. But what we try to encourage is our values and how we work and how we would like to communicate ourselves and how we would like to grow. So the communication, it's very important, and being very direct on the things we want to achieve, the goals, the objectives, and how we would like to make things happen, because at the end of the day, what we need to do is to make things happen. Doesn't matter if it's expanding or bringing a new payment method or a new marketing campaign or a new integration or something in finance team or doesn't matter. We need to make things happen. So we encourage the team to think as they are the owners of the company, so they can achieve the best solution. Always having in mind the values that we have, as I said before, moving fast, failing fast, iterating, and thinking in the big picture.
When you look at that sort of stuff and you have those values, there's a lot of companies there who sort of have values. You've mentioned it very freely in terms of your communication. How do you over communicate those values in a remote business to really make them stick?
We tend to do a lot of all hands meetings with the company, and then with the C-level managers, teams, and directors to spread the voice of the values of the company. Doesn't matter if the communication it's in a call or it's written, but we need to communicate things.
And I believe that one of the things that really worked for companies who managed to scale successfully on a remote basis was that the whole concept of over communication and putting real thought into how those messages landed and were. And I imagine it's also a scaling business, right? So you've talked to me about the growth from 2020 onwards. How quickly did you scale?
We are scaling very fast in the last years. We grew in the number of users. We have today more than 8 million users. We grew in markets, and we expanded a lot. For example, Africa, we launched in the middle of the pandemic, so we expanded in the world. We expanded it in terms of product, as I said before. We launched the digital wallet, then we attached the crypto offering to buy and sell, then we attached the P2P transfers. We launched some months ago the debit card. So we have like a matrix where you have countries and products, and the idea is to have it full, where we can offer the different products to every user all over the world. For sure, we need to understand what fits in each market, because it's very different what users are expecting. But we put a lot of effort in the product side, and that it's helping the company to scale very fast.
And with scale, it's also about recognition, as we talked about before, with a emerging markets business. To have that sort of global expansion is something there. We've spoken beforehand about your partnership with Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club and the Premier League. I think it's a really bold piece to take a business there and be able to scale and at that sort of pace, and to get the message out there on such a global scale. So there's so many moving parts in what you're doing. I find it really, really interesting and fairly unique in terms of what you're looking at as well. Tell me a little bit about how you've what your approach is to the development and growth of the business, and how you're marketing and getting your positioning right, and keeping to spread the gospel. I think you used it before as a sort of global takeover from AstroPay. You're here to run the world. Tell me how that's working for you, and what sort of thought process there is behind the marketing and sales and taking the business out there.
Talking about Wolves, it's Premier League. It's seen all over the world. Football fans are a lot. So being there, it's giving us brand awareness. We are the main sponsors. We are in the middle of the T-shirt. We're in the stadium. We have our LEDs. We are doing a lot of campaigns, promotions. There is a game in the middle in halftime where you need to shoot the ball to put it in the O of AstroPay. So it's and you can win a prize. So having that in TV and in the stadiums, it's big for us, and it's helping to create and to be more known all over the world, as we talked before. And we, as you asked, we put a lot of efforts in the campaign that we create in terms of marketing. How we would like to communicate our value proposition, how we would like the user to understand AstroPay as a digital wallet, what they can do in the wallet, that they can deposit, that they can withdraw, that they can transfer money to a contact, that they can collect with payment links. So it's a big effort that we plan with the marketing team. Of course, always the product team it's involved, and how to communicate to the users what we are offering, and of course at the end what we want is more users and more users all over the world to use AstroPay as the main digital wallet.
And that's a very interesting sort of approach to, isn't it, to globalizing the brand and the name of the business, and getting that message out there on such a macro scale is something I find really, really interesting. I also want to touch on the whole concept of taking and evolving the product. I think iterate is one of those values that you have as core to the business. Crypto, as I mentioned before, I've just done a documentary about the whole evolution of digital assets, full stop, with the Era of Convergence documentary that we put out there. Crypto is something which has had a little bit of a battering recently, and trust is very much at the core of how that I guess expands or contracts based on sentiment of the marketplace. And imagine if you're looking at something like that you've got there, trust has to be very much at the center of how you go to market, how you give your customers what they're wanting within it. There's still, I don't think crypto is going anywhere quickly. I think there'll be its usual curves of to and fro, but we're only going upwards in terms of the median line of where that goes. And crypto will be something there, and the wallets involved in it, something where I think there's massive potential. Talk to us about how you've approached a marketplace like that, where you see the potential of it going, and how big a part of the growth of AstroPay is linked to crypto.
Yeah, the importance of education to generate trust in users here it's key. We always users always want to have their money in wallets that they can trust, or in a place that they feel comfortable. So generating and educating the users what we do could be in terms of the wallet, could be, as you said, related to crypto, but we like to educate them to generate trust, offering them, of course, the local payment methods, having what they are asking. It's a way of generating trust. And something important here that we have from our side, it's our fraud prevention engine and our cybersecurity team, that it's always improving and working to have a secure wallet, a secure system where the users can trust. So as you said before, crypto, it's something that we receive as feedback from users because it was a trending topic in the last years, and we decided to start our crypto offering where the users can buy and sell some cryptocurrencies. And we started testing in different markets, and from there we are hearing feedback, improving the product, iterating, and then moving forward to different markets. And that's the way we like to work, to test the waters in some market, and then to go to another and to another and to another.
I think for 3 years I've been speaking to people every single week on this show, and listening to financial technology companies who are all growing and all having successful stories, etc., etc. But I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone who's got such a user-centric focus on genuinely listening, and it seems that the whole strategy of the business has been led by your user base, which I think is a fantastic way of looking at things. It's quite a straightforward process of what you've spoken about, right? There's nothing there that's a secret recipe. It's you've created a number of different routes for people to get in touch with you, to be able to act on things, and having that move fast, fail fast, and iterate core to what your business does, has probably been the sort of petrol on the bonfire that's allowed it to grow as quickly as it has, right?
Yeah. There is no secret. That's the strategy that we use. Of course, it's very important also that it's free to use AstroPay for users. So it's very easy for a user to download the app or to go to the web and to open an account and to register, and then to start discovering what they can do and start testing the flows and loading money and using it. So it's very easy, and that's the way we like to do things. Very simple and easy.
That's never a bad recipe for moving things further forward. Talking of recipes and secrets and such like, you're a business that's whilst there's been an increasing number of successful businesses coming from emerging markets and such like, I imagine there's hurdles and difficulties to breach from that. If you're there to look at some of the biggest lessons that you can give to companies who are the next unicorns of emerging market growth, what would you say that would be?
Hear the feedback that you receive from the market.
Unsurprisingly.
from the market, could be from merchants, could be from clients, could be from users, for customers. Sometimes you need to change your way. You need to drive your car to other way and to adapt immediately or fast. So the way you can hear the feedback and translate that to product developments, and then being faster than the others to put that in the market, it's going to give you of course an advantage. Then of course the competition, it's giving a good service, a quality service that's solving a problem, but being very fast in hearing feedback, it's something that it's important.
Love that, love that. And absolutely in keeping with everything you said, there's real consistency about your story within all this as well. I'm going to move on to the fact that this show will be dated by the fact there's a Christmas tree sat behind me, which tells you that we're in December as we're recording. This will probably come out in the early part of 2023. I think there's a lot of excitement as well as a lot of trepidation about 2023. Whilst we know there's some economic headwinds across the world that make things quite tricky, there's also an awful lot of opportunity. And I think with new challenges come new opportunities, and they've always been very, very adamant about that. And if you've seen 2020 be a catalyst for digital evolution and revolution to an extent, I think my view is that 2023 is going to see an awful lot more adoption of technology that increases efficiency, increases user experience, reduces cost, it removes friction, and all those good things in between. I don't think there's going to be a period where there's such a need for that on a global basis, which creates a really good position for you guys to continue to grow in. But tell me, let's finish by talking a couple of predictions and a couple of exciting things. Tell me 2 or 3 things that are really exciting about AstroPay and what we can expect to see in the company in 2023, and then tell me a couple of predictions that you can give about what you think the market's going to look like for financial technology in the year ahead.
No doubt the world has changed since the pandemic started, and people behavior, it's not an exception. So the world turned to be more digital environments. The way we live our lives, people taking online courses, online healthcare, online shopping, everything, it's going there, and of course it's thanks to digital payments. We saw a lot of cashless, many payments turning to cashless, and that is what we have been seeing the last years, and I believe that we will keep seeing improvements from that side. As you said, the friction, that it's essential. Removing the friction in terms of payments, it's very important. The people doesn't have time today to lose time in paying something. So removing the friction everywhere, something that is going to continue. Of course, there will be an acceleration in the use of digital wallets. As we talked, it's trend, and new actors will come, and more fintechs will appear in the map. Crypto, in spite of the ups and downs that we are seeing in the last month, will be part of the future, and we will see new things. NFTs, meta world. Regarding to payments, with face recognition will be more accessible, of course, and the entire life is changing, and of course payments are part of it. Regarding to AstroPay, we are focusing in the products that we have, and as I said, we need to complete the matrix that we are creating between products and countries, markets, and delivering the best products that we have, that we can for the users all over the world.
Sounds like a fantastic time, and you're right. I'm so excited about all the things you've spoken about. I think there's going to be a really, really interesting year for financial technology, full stop. But I also think there's going to be an even better year for AstroPay. There's lots of these episodes I do which I enjoy, but there's only a few that really inspire me and sort of take me on that sort of journey. And what you guys are doing, I think, is absolutely incredible, and it's an absolute honor to have you on the show. So, Mikael, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. And I feel like we could have done about 15 more episodes on this, the same sort of stage as well. But look, we'll have to have you come back in a year's time and see what you've done and what you've achieved. And it's I've got no doubt that that's going to be pretty spectacular. It's an extraordinary story of growth. It's an amazing thing that you're doing. Your career, I think, is absolutely incredible. And I really appreciate you sharing it on the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Of course, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and Happy New Year.
And also to you. And thank you all for watching.